Ms. Underwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are a lot of lawyers in this room, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm a nurse. Madam Secretary, I want to be very clear about what the family separation policy is doing to children's mental and physical health. And I want to know if DHS even considered their health when developing these policies. So I only have 5 minutes, so for these questions, I'm looking for a yes or no answer, if you could. When you officially began family separation in spring 2018, were you aware of research showing it causes trauma that can do both immediate and long-term damage to children's health?
The information that I was aware of at the time was that the trauma is part of the journey to come up to the border illegally.
Okay, so again, we're looking for yes or no answers, ma'am.
That was what I do know within the context of the question.
Okay, and were you aware that the trauma of family separation is connected to something called toxic stress?
I'm not familiar with that term, no.
Okay, were you aware that toxic stress can actually change a child's brain because it's still developing?
I wasn't familiar with the term.
Okay, were you aware that the effects of these traumas are cumulative, that they get worse the longer the trauma goes on?
Yes, sorry. I'd like to clarify because we're missing a bigger point here, but yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. Respectfully,
Okay.
let me answer your questions.
Were you aware that the traumatic effects don't go away even if a child is reunited with their family?
I understand that they are, no.
Okay. Were you aware that family separation can lead to behavioral changes and learning delays for children?
Just to be clear, family separation includes the 60,000 UACs who were separated by their parents before they ever got to the border.
I understand. My question is about the traumatic effects.
So let me just say this, and maybe it will help you with your questions. Families need to be put together. Children should never be put in this situation. We need to fix the system so that they're not.
Thank you. Were you aware that family separation can lead to behavioral changes and learning delays for children?
Again, kids should be with their families.
Okay, so I will take that as a no. Were you aware that it increases a child's risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer?
I would ask all parents to go to ports of entry, not to separate their children and send them on the journey alone, and not to break U.S. law.
Thank you. Were you aware that it increases a child's risk of anxiety, depression, and substance abuse? As a reminder, these are yes or no questions.
Ma'am, if I could just cut to the chase, I think we're agreeing. Children need to be with their families. We need to fix the system so that we can enable them to do that.
Ma'am, I'm trying to ascertain your knowledge, your prior knowledge of the health impacts of these children when they are separated at the border. The American Psychological Association reports that family separation is on par with beating and torture in terms of its relationship to mental health. Were you aware of that research prior to instituting the policy of family separation?
There is no policy of family separation. What we did was increase the number of parents that we referred for prosecution. That is what we have done for the last 3 administrations.
Thank you. I'll take that as a no.
It's the law.
Let's go back even further to the El Paso pilot program for family separation that reportedly began in 2017. Yes or no, did DHS consult with any pediatric health experts before beginning the pilot?
I was not at DHS at that time. I was there in July. I was not aware of the pilot at that time, and then I was working in a different department.
Okay, so that would be no.
No, ma'am, I just can't speak to it. I wasn't there. I can't speak to what I don't know.
Thank you. Yes or no, did DHS collect or analyze any medical data from the pilot program to evaluate how family separation affects a child's physical and mental health?
Yes, as I said, I have an advisory council looking at it right now who includes a well-known doctor who is looking at these issues.
Can you provide a copy of that data and DHS's analysis to our committee?
Of course. The report is not finished, but it's a FACA body, so everything is public.
Great. Did you consult with any pediatric experts before the policy officially began in the spring of 2018?
We generally and regularly work with them. As you know, the children are cared for by Health and Human Services.
Right.
But to the extent that we have children in DHS detention centers, we follow all guidelines by the AMA.
Right.
We work very closely with the medical community.
Okay, so then would you provide a copy of that communication from DHS with those experts to the committee?
Sure, anything that's available.
Thank you. So the American Academy of Pediatrics wrote to DHS 6 times to explain how family separation hurts children and made a number of public statements. Yes or no, are you aware of those warnings?
I am, which is why I continue to ask this committee to work with me so that parents do not separate their children. There were 60,000 last year that were separated by their parents. We are talking about 2,000 children that resulted from their parents choosing to break the law, which is why I've continually asked parents to go to a port of entry.
Thank you. So from what I've heard today, I'm not sure if DHS was so negligent that they didn't know how traumatic family separation was for children, or if they knew and did it anyways. But in my opinion, both are unacceptable. Tearing kids and their parents apart like this is immoral. Ma'am, it's un-American and it's just plain wrong. Thank you for holding this hearing, Mr. Chairman, and Secretary Nielsen, I'll be following up. I yield back.
So, sir, I'd like to respond briefly, if I could.
Children from U.S. citizen mothers as well. They put them with domestic abusers.
Chair recognizes the gentlelady from Arizona,
Sir,
Ms.
if I could
Lesko.
if I could, just really quickly, because I think it's very important to just put this in a brief context.
The
Okay.
gentlelady's time has expired.
I didn't have any time, just to be clear, to respond. But, okay, thank you. With respect, I appreciate that.
Madam Secretary,
Oh, thank you.
editorializing is not part of the rules.